And so it's 3 minutes in and we are going to go live. And so in today's session, I'm going to be talking about, today's live is all about seeing beyond the illusion. And there has been a massive energy shift coming in yesterday. And it was like suddenly the outer layer of an illusion dissolved. And you kind of see people for who they are, or maybe you've convinced yourself of some people being a certain way. And one of the greatest bits of advice I was ever given by my other half was, when someone shows you who they are, believe it. When someone shows you who they are, believe it. Because we often try to convince ourselves that people are something different to what they are. And that was one of the greatest bits of advice, because it allowed me to look at people and see them for what they were rather than what I expected them to be. This, we see reflections of ourselves in others, don't we? And so this big energy yesterday, with Saturn being at the last degree of the zodiac, was almost like this piercing of the veil and goes, now see. And so there's big shifts in energy, and the downloads are coming in fast. And I had a really interesting thing happen to me yesterday, and it's kind of been tiptoeing into this energy for a long time. But I had something that just deeply confirmed this psychic connection between us. And I've been like a mini experimenter and mini scientist for a while now, holding back. We'll go, no, that could have happened because of this. I could have had that subliminally. I could have heard these things. And so I've tried to write off a lot of psychic phenomena that's happened, of things that I've just known. Or I've had clients and customers come into the shop that I contract in, the Crystal Shack in Malden, Essex. And I just know things. Like one lady came in and I said to her, I just see a bird flying over the forest. I said, and it's sort of walking in alert, danger. And because it sees the forest on fire. But when it takes a moment to land down onto a tree and look a little bit closer, what it actually realizes is that it was a family having a campfire. And they were just toasting some marshmallows. So there wasn't really anything to be alarmed about. And I was using this as metaphor, as a way of showing this individual who had a lot of Gemini energy, about how the Gemini can be so fast, a lot of fast moving energy, that it can jump to different conclusions unless it brings that into center balance, into the heart space. It's about finding both sides of the hemispheres of the brain and bringing it into a center point. And I believe that's the heart energy. And she said, you know what, that's really interesting. She said, because I've come to Malden today to get a tattoo of a bird on fire on me. And so the fact that you picked up on the bird and the fire is just blown my mind. And she was like, how do you do that? And I was like, I don't know. It's like catchphrase. I just say what I see. And I don't hold a lot of weight on what that is. I just allow the individuals to show up in my life to show me and guide me in those ways, and either confirm or not, take what resonates. It's not a case of going, I see this concrete thing playing out. It's like you're picking up on the qualities of energy. And I described it to my other half last night, like different thoughts have gravity to it. Gravity is the wrong word. I don't think we have the word for what we're experiencing in order to describe psychic senses and like intuitive things that come through. And a lot of people have had this since birth, but I'm not one of those people. For me, this has unfolded in the last couple of years. And I often provide the platform for people to explore this in their own way. And so they go, oh, I can't share that with you. It might sound crazy. Nothing will sound crazy to me. I think we need to have an open mind to these concepts and able to explore and analyze what they truly are. What are they and what's unfolding within us, rather than getting this propagandized narrative unfold within us that says, oh, that's woo-woo, that's crazy, that's out there, that's not possible. There's enough experiments, enough empirical data out there now that people, everyday folk like me and you, have experienced to go, we know what this means something. For me, it started with, that's weird, I was thinking about that yesterday. Or that's weird, I just thought that, then you said that. Or I'll have something come into my mind and someone will say something. Like me and my other half have had that play out between us a lot. I will say something, he'll go, shut up, how did you know? I literally was just thinking that. Or he'll have a song come into his head, and then the show we're watching, that song will come in and he'll go, oh my God, I'm not even lying. He was like, I just had that song playing in my head. And so we've sensed for a while now that we're a few seconds, we can sense what's coming in a few seconds or minutes in advance. And then the strangest thing happened to me yesterday, where I had I was clearing up my flat. I just got home from work, clearing it up, and I walked through, mind completely blanked, and I'm feeding the dog and I'm feeding the cat, and I walked from my living room into my kitchen. So I walked through a threshold, and all of a sudden, and I say the word pushed, it was like pushed into my awareness. I had the song "If You Like Pina Coladas and Getting Caught in the Rain" come into my head. And then I just knew instantly what that was for, what it was about. And so I sent a voice note. I'm going to include it in the shorts. I need to get a permission first before I do, because her voice is on it. That the person it was for was actually out having drinks with her other half, and he was at the bar ordering pina coladas. And I made a joke about it. And I said, either you two are drinking pina coladas or you're going to get poured on the way home. I sort of joked about it. And she said, I kid you not, we were ordering pina coladas at the time that you sent that message, and I'll send you a photo of the empty glass just to prove it, because we like to sit in a groundedness with it. We like to sit in sometimes you can think that something is an intuitive message. Sometimes you think, oh, my computer's showing me something, it must be a sign. But I would urge you to stand back from that, because we have to be real critical minded in what we are processing and how we are processing it. Because I had the situation come up the other day where I was like, oh, I really feel called to go to Egypt. I didn't say anything out loud. I didn't type it into my phone. I did nothing with that information. It just stayed in my mind space. And then when I was on social media, I saw a holiday advert for Egypt. Now, someone will go, well, that's intuitive, or that's a sign. I don't think so, because what I learned from that in doing a deep dive into technology's capabilities after McDonald's said they were going to be pushing their adverts into our mind while we're sleeping, I was aware that there's capabilities to plant concepts in our mind space. And so I was more interested in, how does this function and how does this work? So when I did some research and I said, ChatGPT, I'm trying to discern between genuine psychic phenomena and telepathic communication and, or, artificial ones. And so it showed me that in mobile phones, this is a Samsung S25 Ultra. In the lens within this, it can read your pupils when they dilate, and it can sense your nervous system senses. And I don't know enough about it. I'm not a tech whiz, but I want to make sure that what we're communicating and what we're encouraging people to work with is something grounded in truth rather than what we want it to be. We can't put our own bias onto it. And so it said, what it can do is, say, for example, you might spend time looking at videos that have the topic of Egypt. What the data and the software and the phone can do is assess what your pupils look like, what your nervous system is like. So it gauges your mood through the phone. And then what it does is, next time you're in that same space and your pupils are the same and your nervous system's giving off all that wonderful energy, it will find things that match where you were last time. And so it's training itself based on your own energetics to give you more of what you're seeking. So if you're in the same environment and you were searching for recipes to make a cake, it will know that in that emotional state, you are seeking sugary, carbohydrate-y, sweet treat foods, and give you more of those. So it might come up in your newsfeed, video recipes for cakes and chocolates and sweets and all those things around that subject. So we need to use our discernment. And that's what I want to cover in today's live session, because I really feel like there is something birthing within our psyche right now, almost a remembering of a skill or an ability that's been there but dormant the whole time, and how to discern fact from fiction and how to know whether it's truly in alignment. And what I do a lot when I'm in the crystal shack is encourage people to trust their gut, trust their body. What's calling to you? What is coming through for you? How does your body respond? I can't know any of that. But often when people come to buy a crystal, they'll walk in and they'll say, just an example here, they'll walk in and they'll say, I have anxiety. I've been told I have anxiety. What crystal is good for anxiety? And there's a card of cherry quartz in the shop that I work in, and it says anxiety relief. So people will go straight for that one because, I have this, that crystal does that, without allowing the body to truly show them what's needed for them. And so we often pick with our minds, like we eat with our eyes, and we choose with our mind space because we have a confirmation bias. And so I say to people, no, drop into the gut. Do you get goosebumps? Is there a color that stands out to you? Have you got like butterflies in your tummy or some sort of sensation on your field that is telling you and confirming that crystal is right for you? And we had a lady come in yesterday, and what she was saying was she couldn't decide on the crystal when she was in the shop. So she was going to go down the high street. She was going to come back. Now, the most fascinating thing about that was when she came back, she said, I knew instantly as soon as I left the shop what crystal was for me. And I just couldn't stop thinking about it. It kept coming into my mind space. And I said, well, you know, maybe you're very in tune with the crystal energy and you're sensing all of the crystals at once. And you're struggling to differentiate between which one's right for you. And you had to leave the environment to let that energetic settle so you could hear the noise, hear through the noise. Just watching my little doggy. And which is something that she confirmed. Something she's like, yeah, no, I definitely felt it that way. And so each of us have got a unique energetic blueprint. And I'm going to be doing a live stream over the next couple of days on that, because something landed for me yesterday. Something just came through. And I don't know if the right word to use is the word download, because we use that connotation for the internet. But it definitely seemed like it was coming into my space and something that I hadn't really thought of before. And so it's showing me through an intuitive astrological sense what we all are. And that live stream is going to be all about how we are unique energetic blueprints. And I often talk about with my clients alchemy. And so when you are working with the crystalline structure, which is this, the word crystal means the structure of something. So this has a crystalline, this is crystalline structure. This is selenite. And so we are an energetic structure based on our unique energetics of astrology. And then this is an energetic. And what we do is we bring those two energetics together, which I absolutely love. It lights me up so much when you work with the alchemy of two energies. You introduce this into your field and it creates ripples. And eventually this will start to harmonize with your field and bring information through. And so with Saturn moving into Aries, literally hours ago, like it's 11 a.m. in the UK here. It came in about 11:30 in the UK here, and it was about 3:30 this morning that happened. And so it's very, very recent. I felt that collapse yesterday of Neptune's already passed through this space, so I've been feeling it prominently, and I've got a moon at 0 degrees of Aries. So I've been observing what's been unfolding for me, and it's been that heightened intuitive state. And I've had that come through, and I'll go through it later in the live stream about different examples of that and how it's unfolded in its intensity over time coming through for me, and how I work with it and how I share that with my clients and show them exactly their own beautiful gifts. I'm here to empower you. I don't want that empowerment. I don't want that power over. I want to empower you, because it's by empowering the individuals in this age of Aquarius that we're moving into that we are going to thrive as communities, as a structure, because we're all part of the same consciousness. We've just got a unique energetic imprint that we carry through, which is our astrology. That is our astrology blueprint. And so I believe it was Plato that coined the song of the spheres, or the music of the spheres, where the harmonics of astrology play out and then we interact with one another, which is why you get that feeling where not everybody gets along harmoniously. Some are tensions, and tensions are important because they come in to show us something that needs to shift and change. And so this live stream is going to be all about Saturn moving into Aries, 0 degrees of Aries. This is where it is right now. And what that means for us as a collective, what's going to start unfolding now, because we had Mercury come through, we had Venus across this space. So we've had Mercury, Venus, we've had Neptune, we've had the North Node move out of Aries. There's been a lot of rewiring of that personal space of the Aries I am state of awareness over the last couple of months and years. And now with Saturn being here, it's like, what have you learned? Make it so. It brings that structural form to what we've been learning and growing and developing within. And so it's going to be important to pay attention to what intuition, get back into your body and allow your body to communicate with you. Saturn's going to bring through those messages via all of the body, not just the mind space. It's going to bring structural form. And so you could get goosebumps come up on your arms. And I believe that's the steam leaving the body to say, yes, this resonates. You could get the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. And it turns out hairs are our antenna. So trust what your body is calling and start paying attention to where you're placing your conscious focus, because that's what Saturn's working with us for, to streamline and apply the focus attention to what we're creating and manifesting and giving form. And so I've made some notes. I'm just going to follow through those notes so that I can make sure that I'm covering everything I want to cover today, because my mind likes to have a little wander. And that allows space for me to bring through the intuition to say what I see. And so the big energetic shift came this morning, and I want you to just step into your body and ask yourself if you can feel the difference between yesterday and today. What did yesterday show you? What came through for you yesterday? Because for me, it was like the dissolving of an illusion that I held about how I perceived people. And like I said at the beginning of this live stream, when someone shows you who they are, believe it. Believe it. Yeah. You can't know what you don't know. When you know better, do better. When someone shows you who they are, believe it. Because that is us trying to convince ourselves of something that's not true. And now Saturn's come through. It's going, look at the alternative perspectives here on this two side of the coin. It's like the veil is lifted and things that were once hidden are now revealing themselves. You might have noticed changes in your dream state. You might have had strange dreams coming in, signs, psychic nudges, or people showing their true colors. And I think that's really important to pay attention, because that's enabling you to discern between what you're separating away from and what you're moving towards. And since the middle of February, we've had this void space. It's been the strangest thing just before Pisces season came in. It's like as the sun was in Pisces, was illuminating the illusions. And at the same time, we then had Mercury and Venus straddling that space, moving through, of going, how do I now think about that then? How do I now feel about that then? Like the sun was guiding the path, and Mercury was like, I need to adjust how this mind space feels. And Venus was like, oh, I need to change how I feel about that scenario, that person, that place, that thing. And so it's been breaking us down as individuals so it can build us back up. And now Saturn's come back in. It's restructuring us as individuals. For me, the psychic sense of awareness that was coming through, something that I denied for a very long time. I thought, no, that could be that. That could be that. I could have heard that song there, and I could have heard that song there. And, you know, the subconscious programming we have to pay attention to, the subliminal messaging. You could have heard that, overheard that in a conversation, walked into a shop playing a song. We have to be discerning when we're using this skill so that we know what truth feels like and what falsity feels like. And so I practice that in my own space of looking at an object. So I'll look at this blue bottle. This is my Flower of Life bottle here. It charges and imprints the structure of water. And so I'll look at that bottle and I'll say, it's red, it's blue, it's red, it's blue. And what I'll do is I'll pay attention to the feeling and the sensations within my body when I say it's red, because I know that's a lie. That's not true. That's blue. And then I'll do a blue and I'll pay attention to the sensation in my body. And so you can play around with these different concepts to say, what does truth feel like and what does falsity feel like, so that you can start trusting your body and your gut about what it's telling you and guiding you towards. And so now we're being asked to see the truth. This is a new beginning. 0 degrees of Aries is new threshold. It's primal energy. It's the initiation degree. Think of it like the Big Bang. It's bursting onto the scene. And it's not until Taurus energy that we start to find a rhythm and a pace. So it's going to be a little bit all over the place, especially with all these energies. The sun's in Gemini, so it's very chitter chatter. Lots of energies going on. We've got Uranus gearing up to change into Cancer. We've got Jupiter. Beg your pardon. Uranus is changing from Taurus to Gemini. We've got Jupiter changing from Gemini to Cancer. Lots of outer planets. Saturn moving from Pisces to Aries. They're all changing, shifting signs. And this is more the outer world, a lot of generational energy, in the sense that a lot of the people who have outer planets in placement are generational. So there's a theme that plays out within that energetic. And so now we're going to start seeing things for what they are. And there's a lot of things that trigger people with this concept. And I'll give you an example of that. The other day I was sharing something with one of the clients that I had. And I said, you know what? I send Boris Johnson gratitude every single day. And she's like, oh no. The reason that I sent him gratitude is because he's the first person that flipped the switch within me to go, oh my goodness. Oh, this is a lie. Oh, that doesn't make sense. Only you know what you know, and only you know what you've never learned. And so when something comes into your awareness and it triggers you, trust that. Because for me, what it was about was the death rates in the COVID situation. And suddenly the numbers that were being spouted didn't make sense from a scientific perspective. And how could you hold those up at truth and try and stick to your narrative in that space? And I say that as someone who used to work for the government. I no longer aligned with the messaging that was coming through. It was about the people for me, not about numbers. And so the institution that I was working for, our relationship started to break down. And that was supposed to be, that situation happened because otherwise I would have been forced into a tight corner, and I wouldn't have been forced to then go and do what I did next, which is study education. Very fascinated with the way that people work. And through this process, I was being walked through a whole transitional process. And for me, it was a unique unfoldment for me and my energy. And it was, like I say, Boris Johnson who snapped me out of that. I had so much faith that the government was there for our best interest, for our good. And that changed for me. And so as you know new things and you start to shift and move towards other ways, you'll start to notice that your body and the way that you communicate, the way that you function, the things that you're interested in will change. And we have to be able to be in a space of that you can't know what you don't know. And so I couldn't know what these structures were. At the time, I was working for the government, believing that it was a structure. And I say government, I didn't actually work for the government. I worked for a government-funded organisation. So we bid for a contract, we won, and we facilitated that contract. And I loved what I did. I love taking people from A to B. That is what I'm here to do. My midheaven is at 13 degrees of Scorpio, which the Sabian symbol for the 13th degree of that sign is linesman installing new connections, something along that line. And so what I do is I meet people where they're at and I signal over here and I help them transition over. And so for some people, that is like a doula energy where I help them transition between phases of their life. Lots of people come to me when they've had a relationship breakdown or their job's no longer working. They're seeking guidance to understand themselves on a deeper level. That's how I facilitate. And in the exploration of that, what I do is I explore different concepts and I take things that are hidden in the darkness and I bring them to light so that we can bridge a connection between what we did know and what we now know. What we didn't know before, what we now know, if that makes any sense. And so a lot of people that come to me for readings, a lot of people that come to me for healing sessions, they are seeking that type of guidance. That's what I facilitate. That's where I fit in this transitional space. And each of us have got a unique energy that we are facilitating these shifts and change it in a unique way. Some people, it may be to sit in a garden and plant seeds and just tend to nature and be there in that harmonious state, bridging in that high frequency energy and anchoring that down so that when we have these turbulent times of shift and changes, we have that light streaming in that's gridded by those individuals. We're not all here to play the same role. We're not here to judge ourselves and compare ourselves to other. It's knowing who you are and allowing yourself to embrace that and express that uniqueness without comparing yourself to anybody else. It's not about, I look at other psychics and other astrologers and other Reiki healers, and I know that their place is in a certain way, and I know where my place is. There's no jealousy, there's no competition. It's embracing and celebrating each of our uniqueness. And this is what the 0 degrees of Aries is showing us. It's showing us our unique energy, the new beginning that's coming in for us, and how to rebuild, reinvent, and redistribute who we are now as an energetic force as we start to bring new awareness into our field. And so we're being asked to see the truth, not fantasy. This is where the Neptune energy can hold a little bit of the illusion. It's that escapist tendency. You might know a lot of the Piscean energy or people that have got a lot of planets in the Pisces state of awareness, who when it's not incorporated or integrated within their field, they might escape through drugs, alcohol, online shopping, addictive personalities, addicted to people, places, things. They might gamble. And this is all one same energy. It's all escapism. It's all some sort of control. It's I can't cope. I need to put the veil over myself as the illusionary state, and that is the same energy. So whether someone's got an addiction to drugs or addiction to sugar, it's the same principle. It's a way of coping with the emotions and diverting your energy within that. I hope that makes sense. And so we're being asked now not to look away. Many of you may have seen that, it's like a meme of the guy on his knees and he's peeling back the curtain and you can see sort of the Matrix thing behind him. I'm not saying our reality is Matrix. I'm just using it to peel back the image of illusion and take a good look at it and say, well, now I'm being shown what that is. I know that. I see you for who you are. Thank you for showing me that. Thank you for bringing that to my awareness. Yeah. And I bring that to people's attention a lot when we talk about pain and trauma. Because I say, remember, those that trigger you with the pain. So imagine you've got you've cut a graze on your arm, and that is a metaphor for trauma. And you've carried that graze on your arm and you've been sensitive and fragile with it your whole life. Yeah. And then someone will come up. Remember, this is a metaphor. Someone will arrive with salt. And so we experience a painful situation with that individual because it's triggered the wound we're carrying. But really, on the highest energetic level, that person that's causing you so perceived pain is, hey, look what you're carrying there. Look at how I was able to trigger you. You've passed your power to me because now you're giving me all your power because I can say whatever I want and it's going to trigger you. You've got no control over that trauma. Then when we become aware of it, what we're then doing is going, wow, that person's helped me to see that I'm carrying this pain. It's not about that person, it's about you. That soul has a contract with you to make you aware that you are carrying that pain. And so they bring the salt. We attract the medicine, yeah? So they bring the salt and they show us where we are maybe a little bit out of balance. We're passing power to other people to make us feel a certain way. I hope that makes sense. And so 0 degrees of Aries right now is showing us a whole different thing. And I think that this is the point. I couldn't have done what I'm doing now yesterday, the day before, any of it. All of these planets crossing my moon have shown me an internal energetic that I wasn't paying attention to before, that I've now had to integrate. I don't do trained astrology. It's all intuitive for me. I have knowledge of astrology. I've studied astrology. I've got no formal qualification in astrology. But for me, it's an intuitive unfoldment. And the language of the astrology is communicated to me in a way that I have not been used to before. And that's something that has had to be slow and steady for me. 0 degrees of Aries is the very beginning of the zodiac, pure instinct, no filter. It just bursts onto the scene, ready to be seen. And so I've had to work at tempering my emotional field, my moon's understanding over the years, because it can be very reactionary. And I've had to learn how to calm that back, because when you're stepping into the online realms, there's a lot of false accounts out there that just want to trigger you, just want to have the opposing point of view, just to put it out there, just to trigger you. And usually it's a guy in China, that's this side, it's all opposite on this thing. There's a guy in China with a wall of phones that's literally got AI programs to just trigger and respond and put comments out there. How do you know if you're even having a conversation with a real person anymore? That's why I try to do my video content as truthful, filterless as I possibly can, so that you can start to discern in truth and fiction. There's nothing on my voice. This is my voice. I activate as I speak. That's like that abracadabra word. And that's a lot of the people that have the Lyrian connections. So I'm studying galactic astrology, and it's so fascinating because the galactic energies really resonate something deeper than the astrology. And the way that I'm seeing it is the astrology is the energetic blueprint of you. There we go. And then the chords that feed in are the fixed stars. That's the way I'm being shown it within my inner television, inner mind space downloads, however you want to perceive that. And this has only come through recently as the planets cross 0 degrees of Aries. So they were signaling a new beginning and a new way of me viewing and understanding things. Mercury, Venus, head and heart came into alignment. I was feeling my way through it. I was thinking my way through it. And then Neptune came over my moon and was like, let's now work with this energetic in those two spaces. And then today we've got Saturn coming in, going, you need to go live. You need to start doing this. You need to bring structure and form and start sharing what it is that you are coming to know. And that's why we're live today. And so the 0 degrees of Aries falls emotional truth, intuition, and inner knowing, which is what I just mentioned there. And so those are the planets that give us an understanding of how that unfolds. And when the energy shifts collectively, people with 0 degree placements feel or sense it first. And so that is because of the way showers. It's the maverick. This is the path. We're going to cut through the trees. We're going to show you the route and play around with it. You know, it's playful, it's joyful, it's initiatory, it is primal energy. It's not subtle, and it will hit the energy it will hit your body like a spark. It's a gut punch of clarity. And the way I was describing it to my partner last night was, it's like I know that thoughts have a certain quality to them, and then the psychic intuition has a different quality to it. And so what it is, it's like the intuitive thing I was telling you about the pina colada earlier on. It's like that thought had gravity to it. It's like it was thicker and more dense, like I knew it. And when I sat with it, I sensed, I know who this is for. I know what this is bringing me, and I now know what to do with it. And it wasn't a processing thing. It was just a calling, a knowing, an intuitive unfoldment within my field. It was like laid out. And I don't know if any of you have this same experience, or those of you that have been psychic for years that could pop a comment in the video chat just to share your experiences with this. You know, I've only got my own personal experience. So I'm trying to give it words and explanation in the best way that I know how, as something that's new for me. It definitely has it. And it left me wondering, what are thoughts? There's lots of experiments to show that we can actually sense thoughts in the mind space 2 feet away, which is incredible. So they don't take place in the brain. It's almost like it takes place in the field around you, and you're sensing the quality of it. And what that led me then to is to look at how dogs communicate, because they're very in tune with the echoes of emotion and the echoes of energetics in an environment to communicate in the pack. And I say that because my animals, my pets have been showing me this ability. It's like they've grounded it in for me and shown me, look at what you can do, mum. So the first one was I've been seeing bursts of colour whenever my dog barks, purples and whites. Sometimes it's purple, sometimes it's white. And so he'll bark and I'll see that as a quality, like it's a vibrational pattern and energy around here that's sensing. And then my cat, literally yesterday, not yesterday, it's Sunday today, Friday day, I'm pottering around and I'm recording some videos from my other channel, Radiate, and I'm showing how to make tallow. And all of a sudden, at the corner of my eye, literally at the corner of my eye, I can see my ginger cat walking on the floor. And I look over and she's not there. This happened about 5 times. And then in the end, I was like, is she remote, I don't know, astral traveling? Like, is she projecting her consciousness into my living room? I have no idea where that thought came from. But when I was like, I need to go and check if she's asleep somewhere, walked into the bedroom, she's asleep on my other half's, like in front of my other half's pillow. And I know that cats do energy clearing and things like that, but that was fascinating me. I definitely saw a ginger cat. I was like, oh, well, she's not there. Weird. First time you shrug it off. Second time you're like, well, I'm seeing things. And as it keeps happening, you're like, huh, I don't know what that means. I don't know. It could have been anything. But I'm just doing a catchphrase and telling you guys what I see and sense so that maybe it can validate something you're also experiencing. Because I have someone like that in my life that I work with, and we ground that in. We have the same things happening at the same time within our lives, and it is beyond a joke by this point, right? So for me, it's almost like we had a soul contract to be together at this moment so we could validate each other's experiences. And so she went, I'm going to tell you what you ate on Thursday. And I went, okay, go for it. And she went, Chinese. And I went, how did you know? She went, I had Chinese that night. We were talking about basically the Chinese were showing me that I couldn't digest it. There was loads of additives in it my body was rejecting. So it's really put me off Chinese food. And I was telling her, she was like, you hungry? Do you want lunch? And I went, no, I'm still full. She went, let me guess what you ate Thursday. She had it at the same time. And she was like, of course you did. Because we have these similar things unfolding at the same time. Songs coming into our head. Honestly, there's so many of these situations that unfold between us, and it's validating. And I think we all need that individual in our life that can validate that experience. And there's another lady that I work with. It's actually her shop, Teresa. We do it for each other all the time. She'll bring something in and I'll go, oh my God, that's so bizarre. Like, look at this tensor ring that I just made. I'm going to be selling these to help people with it and sharing my experiences with it. And she's experiencing the problem that my tensor ring solved. And I went, I don't know why, but I pulled it out of my bag and I went, I was called to bring it in today and I wasn't going to. These things happen all the time, and we've got groups of individuals that come into our field to show us and validate this. And so when people come into the shop for me and go, oh, it might sound crazy, I'm like, you'll never sound crazy to me, because we need to validate and explore. And so, just scroll for my notes. I've told you the pina colada story, which was, yeah, absolutely crazy. I mean, it's not crazy. It's not crazy at all. It is just so mind-blowing to understand that there's things within our energetic, in our body, our physical body, our energetic body, and our mind space that we've had there all along that we weren't tapping into. And whether that was from a form of distraction to distract you from this capability, whether it's through the form of subtle programming, or whether it's because we just finished the Kali Yuga, whether it's just because we've done all of these wonderful things with the astrology shifts that it's coming online and it's activating DNA within us. I know there's loads of people that talk about that concept, but it does fascinate me. And so I'm not here to tell you what the truth is. I'm here to bring things to light because the truth stands up on its own legs. I don't need to tell you and convince you of anything. Please take what resonates. And if you disagree, the opposing viewpoints are the way we learn truth. And so I'm very interested in talking to people that have understandings of different and opposing concepts. Yeah. And so as a pause for reflection, has anything like this happened to you recently over the last couple of months? And I mean, for me, it's been unfolding since I was activated in Reiki, since I had that guided meditation and I was activated and had those energetics. That for me was a shift. And I'm open to it being a placebo of me telling myself I'm now capable of doing something. And so it unfolds. I'm open to all sorts of ways of this unfolding within me. But for me, it came about in 2022. And so now I've been doing this for a number of years. It's been an ongoing number of practice. practice that's been showing me different things about myself. And so has this happened for you? Please do drop me a message in the message and explain, tell me, you know, I'd love to hear it. And please, can you tell me what your sun sign is? I'm not into sun sign astrology. I think there's so much more to it. I'm very interested. When I get a lot of people coming in, usually I can sense what their astrology sun sign is. So I have a lot of Gemini energies that function in a certain way. Not all of them, some of them, that come through. And I recommend certain crystals for them based on that sun energy, because it's how that expression comes through. And that crystalline that you work with can shift and change that. So for me, the way the energy plays out is I hear it in song. And a lot of Lyrian energies experience the song energy. I've had it all my whole life. I've got a song coming, I'll go, that's so weird. That just happened, and that song coming out of nowhere. To the point where I've had to stop listening to the radio. You might be able to vaguely hear some frequency music in the background, but I don't like listening to the radio or mainstream songs. I don't like the words that they use and word to spells. B, the frequency is all knocked down. It's no longer a harmonic. It's ever so slightly out of interval. Oh, beg your pardon. And lastly, if I'm going to validate an inner knowing based on a song that comes into my head, I need to make sure that I haven't heard it somewhere, because that is not a fair and neutral experiment if we're looking at this scientifically. So I want to make sure that I'm as neutral as I possibly can be when I'm doing these things. And you can't always help that. Sometimes you walk into a song, it's in the background, you're not paying attention because you're in your space. Yeah, but we need to have as many parameters in there so we can validate and streamline and bring it into that center balance point when we know this is a truth for me. I see symbols, you know, a lot of people of us get 111, 222, 333. For me, the threes are everywhere. And the fives, that was another thing that I had with my colleague at work. I kept waking up for a week of 5:55. Now, we only see each other on Saturdays. And then when we saw her on Saturday, she went, oh my God, I've been waking up at 5:55. And I kid you not, I was so fortunate. I sent my mum and my sister a message the day before saying that I keep seeing 5:55 everywhere. I've been waking up at 5:55 every day. And I think it's because it was 5:55 that a message had come through from one of them. I forget the specific examples. And then literally the next day at work, Jules, 5:55. What a synchronicity. Again, we need to validate these. We need to actually confirm if these are legitimate or we're being fed something from a technology on this mobile device. For those of you who probably don't use a lot of technology, but really sit with it. Is this technology or is this me? We've got to be able to understand the quality of the difference of thought. And that is where I'm going to be going with this channel. I'm very interested in propaganda. I'm very interested in subconscious programming. I'm very interested in how the brain functions, especially when it's in a state of fear, because if we can lift that frequency into a state of joy, the flow in our brain space works so much better, so much better. Yeah, I digress, but I wanted to cover a lot of the things so you guys get a feel of who I am. And so if this is a channel that you want to follow, please do subscribe. I get thousands of views on some of my videos and they don't transition over to subscribers. So if you could hit that subscribe button, it'd be greatly appreciated. Because my plan is to set up a membership community, which I can't do until I hit 1,000 subscribers. So I'm definitely setting myself a little challenge just to reach as many people as I possibly can. I do, and I'm aware this platform is not the one, and it won't be my main platform. Patreon will be, because the things that I'm talking about will be triggered on this platform. So there'll be words that I use on here, and I'm very much a person that likes just a free flow and see what comes out, with no intention to cause any harm, to cause no triggers with anybody. But we have to be able to talk about complex paradigms and structures in order to reach a place where we have a level playing field of truth. And then the last thing that I want to talk about that may be coming through for you is sudden realizations. And this is like only you know what you never learned. And so all of a sudden I'll know something. And that happened for me in the crystal shop again. That crystal shop is magical, I'm telling you. It's the Crystal Shack in Malden, Essex. There's so many activations that take place in that shop. And it's a joy to absolutely see. But when you're working, I forget where I was going with it. When it comes back, I'll stick to it. I like to flow. I like to be in the flow of what's relevant and allow it to come through. So sudden realizations, only you know what you don't know. That's it. It was a crystal. That's why I had it in my hand as a reminder. So I had a crystal I'd never worked with before. And some of you might think that because we work in a crystal shop, we know all the crystals. There are so many different crystalline structures out there to work with. We don't know them all. The ones that I'm most familiar with are the ones that I've personally used in my own healing journey or in my healing Reiki crystal healing astrology practices. Yeah. And for me, it works as alchemy. But I picked up a crystal and a customer said, do you know what this does? And I sort of went, and reeled off the whole structure of it, and the whole meaning energetically and how it works with you on that structural basis. And then I said, let me just check that, because I've never worked with this crystal, and that was really bizarre. When I looked it up, we've got a Judy Hall video, and we've got books in the shop that we check. We've also obviously go online and check different people's blogs and things of how they've worked with them. I was right. And so this is what I mean. Only I knew what I'd never learned. I'd never worked with this crystal, but the knowing came through. I obviously couldn't confirm whether it was factual. I could have been just making the whole thing up. Turns out I wasn't. It was just flowing through. And this is what I mean about intuitive knowing. Has that happened for you? I hope this video is validating and reaching you on that level that you can go, oh my God, yeah, I had that the other day. Or oh, I get it. I understand, you know. This is what I want this space to be. I want this to be a community where we can experiment and explore in a safe way without going, this is factual. We don't know, you know. And we do need to ask ourselves, what is fact? What is factual? I had this the other day with my half. We were talking about the 9/11 incident, and I said, what happened that day? And he said, well, started reading off all the events. I said, no. What do you know happened? Again, he started reading off all the events. I went, no, I need to set the parameter here. What do you personally know happened is truth? Bearing in mind, you weren't there. You didn't see it. You didn't experience it. You just saw what the big block, the television told you happened, what the newspaper articles told you happened. What do you know happened? I said, I know what I know happened. Obviously, I've seen on the television that were 2 towers that existed there. And in 2002, February 2002, I went to New York for the first time. First time I've ever been, I think it was the first time I've ever been abroad, maybe. But I went to New York on a plane. First time I've ever been on a plane. Went to New York and we visited the space where the towers were. And it was 2 holes, 2 craters in the ground, and it had metal cages around, and then we around it, and it's called Ground Zero. So I know there were towers there, and I know those towers were no longer there. I know that to be factual. I know that to be truthful. What happened that day, I couldn't possibly tell you. I didn't see anything fly in. I didn't see anything like bombs going off. And now there's cameras showing us that, but we know artificial intelligence can create a video like that and trying to convince you that this is the truth, because it wants the polarization, not AI, potentially the programmers. And so we are now needing to discern and learn about ourselves in a greater and deeper way. And that's what I'm hoping to bring about on this channel and my Radiate channel. How does the human body function? How does the mind function, the body? You know, on the Radiate channel, I'm actually exploring the human nature diet. What makes the human thrive? Yeah, what allows us to thrive and be in our optimum state? And so with these sudden realizations and the weird dreams and the symbols that you've got coming through, just keeping to the topic of this channel, I'm so excited to talk about all of these things. Do you feel like people are dropping their masks, so to speak, or are your gut feelings being proven right? Yeah, just sit with that, ponder on it, because it may be that you're starting to see people in your environment very differently. You might suddenly have a different relationship with your family. You might have a different relationship with friends that have been in there than your life. You might have a different relationship. I mean, I'm viewing my friendships in the entirety. Luckily for me, I can remember people's birthdays, and I go back to friends that I had at school, at college, in different workplaces, and I look at the astrology as best I can, not knowing their birth time, but look at the role that our energetics played in order to understand the alchemy of it. And so why are we now experiencing this beautiful unfoldment? And so we are in this pocket of energy where illusion, Neptune energy, is dissolving, but truth is being anchored in hard, which is Saturn. And so the 0 Aries point is being activated as it impacts everyone, not just me. This is not, oh, you know, my other half shit said it, oh, you've got a gift. I don't think it's a gift. I think it's an ability the human body has. We just get in the way. People can say it's a gift, and we do have unique ways of expressing this energy. Not everybody will feel it in scent. In scent, not everybody will feel it in taste. Suddenly, I get taste or smells or songs, or my senses light up in different sort of energetic ways. But each of us are going to have that come through in a different way. It's like it's a spotlight on your instinct right now and your intuition, and now you're being asked just to trust it. And a lot of us don't have that self-trust, you know. Remember when you were at school and you might have been playing out with a friend in the playground, and your friends and your parents or your teacher said, make up, just be friends. Tell me now where that happens in our reality. We've been taught to ignore our gut feeling when you've maybe had a disagreement with somebody in your life, and then you're forced into that environment to become friends or you force yourself to give a friendship for the sake of the group, for the sake of a work environment, for the sake of you studying something there, when actually you're not harmony there. And we need to address that. Not all of us are designed to resonate with everybody. I know that I will attract people that resonate with my energy, and I know that I will repel people that don't. And there's someone out there for those people, but I'm here to find my tribe and to attract those that resonate with my unique energy. Trust, build the trust. And the most simplest way that I teach people in my coaching sessions, do something that you don't do very often and change it. And what I mean by that is, if you don't drink a lot of water and then you tell, I'm going to start drinking more water, and you don't, your inner energetics knows that you don't mean what you say. So how can it trust you? How can you trust yourself? And so what I say to people is, just start with something very, very small. Put a glass of water by your bed and say to yourself, for the next 30 days, I am going to drink X milliliter of water, 100 milliliter of water, as soon as I wake up every morning, and do it for 30 days. And if you have to set yourself an alarm, you do that. But what that activity does over time is it starts to develop trust with your inner psyche, with your inner knowing, because then you're saying, I said I was going to do this and I did it. And you start to build up that momentum. And that's something really, really simple. It doesn't have to be anything more complicated than that. Keep your practices as simple as you possibly can, so that we haven't got any of the overthinking. And so that is what I'm diving into today. And we have been live for 48 minutes. And I'm going to go into a lot more detail for that. And so what we're diving in today, what this energy is that we are now moving into, how to understand the signs that you're receiving, how your own chart can show you what's activated. And if you want me to do a deep dive, the link to book in with me is in the chat. I've pinned the comments. And what I do is I do a written report. I can do verbal annotations of your charts. I can do distant healing and local healing. I am based in Essex in the United Kingdom. If you're not in the area and you want a distant healing, you can drop me a message and we'll arrange that. And we also are now doing healings at the Crystal Shack in Malden, Essex. And so my time slots that I'm utilising are Mondays and Tuesdays at 8:30 a.m. till 9:30 a.m. And I'm doing a mixture of Astro Reiki, which is my own creation, of where I work with the astrology. I look at your chart and I use sound harmonics to neutralize the field. And so as an example of that, this is an energy Neptune bar. This is one that I was given in my water mastery, and I've got the Miles set, Minel, M-E-I-N-L. M-E-I-N-L. I've got the full set of the other ones, but they are in the car. And my other half's got the car today, so I'm going to use this one instead. Not that was even relevant, but hey diddly ho. And so these are, say you've got particularly, you might have Neptune squaring your sun in your chart. And so what that is, that's a tight tension, like there's something not aware of. And you're turning a corner with it. Think of the corner of a square. You're turning the corner. It's not able to be seen. And your energy is traveling, and then it turns that corner. And so you can't see what's down here when you're traveling along this path. And so that square of that tension is applying, and then separating. And so a square to your ascendant may be that you're not being truthful with your outward expression. And so what we can do to raise it, this is the highest octave of the Neptune energy. And so I will play that over the energetic field. And what that does, I can feel it in my setting. I can feel it in like just under my diaphragm. And so what that does, that raises the frequency of that octave that's playing out in that person's field. And I've got all the planetary bars, the flower of life, the sardonic moon, all of them, planetary day, the earth bar. And I use those bars in a unique melody song, very Lyrian, to lift the octave of that energetic into a more harmonious state. And so as an example of that, the lowest octave of Mars is war, aggression. Highest octave is passion. And so I might take the Mars bar, wave it over the field, and I do it and I work out the structure of it. It's based on your own unique chart. And I can do these sound clearings remotely. I can do these sound clearings in person physically. And I've also got water mastery that I do as well, level 1 and 2, which is taught by a fabulous practitioner, Rachel Edgley. Please do check out her work. She is absolutely an incredible human being. And she has been involved in my activation. She's been involved in training me in Reiki. She's been involved in training me in crystal healing and water mastery. And I'm going to be going on her Mother Mastery course as part of my own journey to heal my infertility, which the journey in the vlog is going to be on Radiate. But that's what I look for in the chart. It's a very unique way of doing it. I don't do a traditional sort of reading. I can do that, and I do offer that. But the thing that I like the most is alchemically lifting the individual through it to look at their astrology from a new lens. How does this alchemy? How does this alchemic process work out with the unique individual's harmonics, and how can I help lift them into a space of understanding themselves in a deeper way? And so it shows you how to understand the signs you're receiving and how your own chart can show you what's activating right now. And you can open your chart and you can have a little look at it. I'll be doing some teaching videos over my Patreon that will show you how to do your own, how you can check in daily, weekly, monthly of what energetics are coming in. So, for example, as the sun moves into Gemini, if it's in your 8th house, the sun is now illuminating your Gemini 8th house. So you then want to look at 8th house themes, and you then want to look at Gemini themes and the sun's energy of what it's doing in that space. So we're going to break all of that down so you can understand it, because for me it's a language that we can work with every day, and it just makes my life so much better. I open my astrology apps every single day. I explore what's going on in the harmonics, and then I look at what crystals would blend with that very well to neutralize and alchemize the energies coming through. And so if you want deeper clarity on that, I am taking bookings for my water, astrology, Reiki healings, as well as astrology readings for June. I was on a waiting list, but I've opened up some new sessions. So if you want to book that in, drop me a message and we can arrange yours today. And while we're there and we're doing a little cheeky plug, don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the bell notifications so you're notified whenever I come on. As I've said, this is not going to be my main channel or my main source of disseminating information, because YouTube doesn't like certain topics that I want to personally explore that lights me up. So that'll be over on Patreon. And again, link is in the pinned comment in my chat. So let's go into part 1, the energies at play. So 0 Aries point, the veil is dropping. And this is the very first initiatory point of the zodiac. It is a collective reset, raw instinct. And if you have placements of 0 degrees, things are very loud right now. This is the degree of truth before editing. You see people as they are, their raw and unrefined versions, not how you wish they were. And so step back in this space and allow, it's like I see people, it's plate spinning. I can see plate spinning, and I can just see this. Yeah, let it drop. Let all the plates drop, and whatever plates don't drop and smash, whatever plates don't smash, they're the ones that you're going to need to slowly start implementing again. And that's, I'm seeing that slow momentum of getting going. So, 0 degrees of Aries wants to rush, and Neptune is asking us to be more intentional here. And Neptune, Saturn with that intentional time energy is going to slow it down, work with it in a rhythm that works for you. So you're feeling yourself in a space that you've not felt yourself for in a very, very long time. And the 0 Aries point is the identity awakening and a collective activation. So it's the very first degree of the entire zodiac wheel. So it's just, Saturn's just left the last degree. So something very close is closed out, and now we have a new opening coming in, and it's the birth point of energy. That's why I used the analogy earlier on of the Big Bang. It's like it bursts onto the scene. Aries is raw life force, is instinct, courage, and the will to exist. 0 degrees is where spirit becomes embodied. It's not a theoretical space. It is action, identity, and ignition. And so that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm the momentum. I'm the motivator. I'm the encourager. I have the ability to seek the truth or solution through chaos. And I've done that all my life instinctively without really knowing what I was doing. But it's almost like I couldn't quite deal with the and so it's like as soon as something goes into chaos, I'm like, right, freeze. Right, that means that. Like you're setting dominoes off. That's in motion, that's in motion, that's in motion, that's in motion, go. I don't know where that came from. It's just the natural way that I'm able to understand things when I was a manager or a leader within things. And I don't know if any of you can resonate. Oh my goodness, there we go. And so it's also a world axis degree. So what do we mean by that? Energies. So when someone has that energy there, Pam Gregory shares quite confidently and openly on her channel that her Mercury is at 0 degrees of Aries. And so her communication is on the world stage. It's global. It is out there in the collective space. And so my moon, my energy is out there in the collective space. If you have a sun at 0 degrees of Aries, that is out there in the collective space, either in a small way or a grand space, where however you, in a grand way, however you want to play that out. And so there's a new way of initiating this space. And I feel like it's calling in a lot of leaders into this space. And I keep seeing 0 of Capricorn. I just saw 0 of Capricorn. If that's you and you've got anything at 0 of Capricorn, 23rd, if you're born on the 21st of December, or you have your moon rising or any significant planets at that point, pay attention to what's unfolding for you, because his energy is squaring that. So it's helping you turn a corner in your leadership style. There's a new level of leadership flowing on. That just came in through. I wasn't planning on talking about that today. So the world axis points is 0 of Aries, 0 of Cancer, 0 of Libra, and 0 of Capricorn. And what they do is they initiate the seasons. So Aries initiates spring, Cancer initiates summer, Libra initiates autumn, and Capricorn initiates winter. And so they're instigator points, they initiate. And when there is a planet there, it means that it resonates collectively, not just personally. And this degree is primal. It doesn't wait for permission. It moves, speaks, acts, and knows. And I've had to master that my whole life, because I just say what I sense. Not afraid to just say and speak. Even if people don't agree with me, I'm not here for you to agree with me. I don't need people to agree with me. I'm not saying that anything is concretely true. I'm saying this is what I've explored so far, and I'd love your opinion. I'd love to hear what you've explored too, because it's just fascinating. My 2 favorite words, fascinating and interesting. Yeah, because I can't know what I don't know, but when I know better, I want to implement that. And that's what I'm teaching people and showing people and guiding people through. And so the collective reset energy, when the 0 degrees Aries point is activated by transit, eclipse, or within your own chart, there is a cosmic rebirth moment. And I felt that. It's like up till yesterday, I felt this really intense shift of trying to, that I might have overlay in this video, but that the second Ace Ventura video, when he's inside of the rhinoceros or the whatever it is, and he bursts himself through the that kind of energy is what I felt like. Very constricted, very contorted, very restricted over the last thing, irritated. And today I don't feel that. I feel like a birth energy. Think about traveling down that birth canal when it gets narrower and narrower and narrower, and then the relief when you're finally out of the other side. So it's like the universe right now is saying, now is the time to step into your real self, no more masks. And so I had the Virgo, my sun is in Virgo. And so I felt that if I planned everything to the final degree and I just had everything laid out, it'd go fine. And I had to learn the hard way. That's not the way it needs to roll. I need to get used to doing more lives, trusting my knowledge, not having it necessarily pre-prepped. So rather than having a script, it's got bullet points that I'm going through. What do I want to speak about today? How will this logically go in an order and a structure that I can verbalize? That keeps me on point and stops me from rambling off and waffling. My other half says that I like to cannon fodder people. And I've had to learn how to bring that in, because I want to give you everything. I want you to know everything that I've learned. For me, it's magnanimous, it's magnificent, and it's glorious. And I want to share it with you so I can improve and help you with your life. If you don't know this, please, this information is great. I want people to thrive. That is the one thing that I am all about within my business. And I'm having to navigate that, because it means that I give so much away for free that I then struggle financially, because I'm not then able to monetize what I do. And so I'm exploring all the different ways that you can do that right now, so that I can bring myself back into balance and practice what I preach. I can only give the best of myself to you when I give the best of myself to me first. And that is something that I encourage all of my clients to do when they come and see me for a healing session. Put you first, because then you're in a prime state. You can then give the best of yourself to other people. So, I keep doing it. Oh, yeah. So there we go. See, this is what my Virgo mum would have broken down before. It literally would have broken down. So I would have been like, oh my God, no, it's not going to plan. I've lost the thing. The computer. Basically, on the computer, when you scroll across it, what it does is it brings up all of the apps that you've got open at once. I was like, no, I had it all set up. Roll with it. We're going to roll with it. And so this energy is asking you to drop the layers and return to who you are underneath it all. Who did you come here to be? That's my most favorite thing to explore in someone's chart. Looking at all of the energetics and planetary alignments and spaces that show you what you're here to embody in this lifetime, what you're here to learn in this lifetime, lifetime, who you came to be, what you'll be remembered, your legacy, and all of these wonderful things. And so for those of you with 0 degree placements, if you have any planets or angles at 0 degrees, the volume is now turned way up because they're now in harmony with this 0 of Saturn at 0 of Aries. And so you're going to be receiving messages, downloads, and realizations that may be intense. It may not be what you're used to, but for you, it's now going to be undeniable. You can be like, right, this pattern's been going on for way too long now. And I am really starting to sense there's something playing. There's something's afoot, right? Something's afoot. And so I need to stop saying it. And I also need to stop saying fillers. You're buying time, aren't you? It's one of the techniques that it's water. It's one of the techniques that I used to say when you go on an interview, have a bottle of water on you, because when you get asked a question, sipping the water allows you to settle the mind, so you don't force the answer out of your mind. You're just expressing naturally. You've bought yourself about 10 seconds there, and then you could buy yourself some more time, but only you are aware of the silence. The fact that you're filling that silence with the water drinking just buys you a little bit of something. It's a little cheeky interview tip there. And so you're likely going to be the first to feel the shift when it happens, almost like an energetic early warning sign. And you're going to start to experience that language. You're going to build this unique language that only you understand while you play around with the concepts of it. And so be in that state, create at least 10 minutes a day for you to hear yourself, and start with the instruction, get back in your body. Because my other half is a Gemini sun, Aries rising, Leo moon. So a lot of fire and air. He's got nothing in earth in his chart at all, and nothing in water. The only point that is in earth is his midheaven, which is 0 of Capricorn. And so it fascinates me that his own chart talked to me in a unique way. And I used to see a tornado hitting a wildfire. If you're not cradling that fire, you're very vulnerable to it blowing up. But if you are working with that fire energy, you're cradling that flame, you're working with those embers and allowing it to grow and mature on its own natural way, you are more in control of the fire itself. And so that when you start to feel these things, it'll be a unique energy for you. That was one of the languages that came through for me, these visual movies that play out in my mind. I'm like, yeah, I see that. Oh my God, I just saw that. And what do I mean when seeing? Because these eyes aren't seeing it. I see the room that I'm sitting in right now. It's like there's another layer. Like, think of the glass and the images playing out on here. It's like there's another layer that only I can see between me and the reality itself. Yeah. So it doesn't come in quietly. Sometimes it can force itself in. Like when I walked into the kitchen yesterday, that song forced itself into my mind. I sing to my animals all the time. I love it. I make up songs about everything. And I've got a little song, baby bub bub, baby bub bub. And I was singing that. And he's just pokes his little head up. You can go back to sleep now, baby. I was singing that. And then all of a sudden, Pina Colada forced itself into my psyche, into my brain, into my mind space. And it was like, if you like pina coladas and getting caught in the, it just comes to my head. So I'm jamming in the kitchen, and then all of a sudden, boom, I understood where it was coming from and what it was, who it was for, what it meant. You know what I mean? And so that's a unique language for you. There's not a universal language for this. I'm not here to say, well, if the Pina Colada song comes into your head, or if you suddenly get this it's going to be very unique. Hear yourself, yeah? So then what this is going to be is the seeing the truth before it's edited. This degree shows you and is showing people exactly as they are. This degree shows people exactly as they are, not how you hoped it would be. So I trigger people a lot. It's primal. There's no filter. It's just go. Say it as you see. And I am mindful, but I see the world as I see it, and I'm here to share my truth, not to dull it down, not to dull that into a way. It just needs to be tailored into a way of that people can understand, right? And so you may notice someone's tone is shifting, a lie they casually speak, or energy that doesn't match their words. Pay attention. I can feel it. I know when people are lying. I know you're lying. I don't know what you're lying about, but I know it's quality. I know the feeling of the sound that you're making is the quality of a lie. Don't know how, but I know. And that's something I'm working through. Like I say earlier on, catchphrase, say what you see. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The veil drops, the mask falls, and then you can't unsee that piece of information. And that's not always easy. It's clean though, and it's necessary right now, because you are now pulling away like a magnet that's attached to this field. You're pulling away so that you can then attach something else. And this is going to be the truth that bypasses logic and will hit your gut, will hit where it really, you can feel it. And so someone at the moon at 0 degrees of Aries, his energy is hardwired into me. I feel it. Like I said, the downloading energy, it didn't feel like imagination. It felt like intuition speaking. It had a different quality of weighting to it. And so I'm now seeing people more clearly. I can see through people's what lies they hold themselves accountable to. I can see people have got this air of something about them. Who is real? I am feeling who is real, who's aligned, and who is leaking chaos. I can see the energy cords, like even past memories. I'm seeing that I was aware of it, but not seeing it before. Does that make sense? If I give you an example, it's like if you reflect upon a time in your life, you can see who's there, what was there, when it was, what was said, all of those wonderful things. But now when I look back at those 5 main senses, who, what, where, when, and how, I've also got this energetic layer over it where I can see the energies playing out between 2 individuals, like the color energy between them, like a red smoke between 2 people, or a harmony, like water flowing blue. It's a very bizarre thing. And it's only yesterday that I became aware that I was seeing that, but not seeing it. I hope that's making any sense for you. I'm sure over time I'll be able to quantify and clarify what I mean by that in a stronger way. But there's no going back now. Once 0 degrees of Aries shows you the truth, it changes how you move forward. And so you can use this energy in identity, action, and clarity. Ask yourself, what am I no longer willing to pretend not to see? Where am I being asked to act, not just feel? And what am I finally ready to walk away from or walk towards? Yeah, remember I said it's like a magnet. That was funny. I didn't plan on that either. And so have you had a moment lately where something just clicked and you couldn't unsee it? Is your instinct louder than your logic right now? And are you starting to feel like the old you just doesn't fit anymore? Like you're a square peg in a round hole? I'm taking more time to be in nature, making sure I've got these beautiful, beautiful plants around me. I'm trying to grow. That was just falling in. I didn't want to get wet. I'm trying to have as much nature around me as possible. I'm trying to take the morning sunlight to come in and change the way that I show up for myself, so I change the way that I show up for others. I remember that we always see ourselves in other people, so we apply ourselves to other people. And so we're now starting to see this differentiation between the 2 energetics. It's almost like it's quantifying it, like we're just seeing a new language being birthed. And I don't even know what I mean by that. But that's just sort of what come in very loud and clear. It's a new language being birthed, a language of energy. I mean, yeah. Goosebumps. Goosebumps for me are the sting leaving the body, like the hair. Look at it. And I ain't cold. I'm just right. But yeah, goosebumps. These are sting leaving the body. And so you're starting to feel like the old you just doesn't fit anymore. So you might be moving away from friendships, places, things, people, habits, ways of doing things, ways of thinking, operating. This is all being rewritten inside of you. And it's like it's already happened, but we're seeing it in slow motion. Like I think a lot of the collapse has already taken place, but we're seeing it in slow motion, like controlled demolition before we rise and build. And we're the ones building. We are the builders of this, And so Neptune, let's talk a little bit about Neptune, because Saturn's moved in, it's bringing structure, it's bringing new things, but Neptune's been hanging out there for a little while now. And these planets are showing us a little tiptoe before, I think it's October, November, they'll start retrograding back. And both planets are going to hit 29 degrees of Pisces. So the way that I see that is that it goes, here's a little taster of what you're moving into. And then it goes, but hey, is this working? Oh, we got it right. Let's go back and see what we're separating from. And then February next year, we're then going to go, right, shut that down, because here's now where I'm going. And it's that final test of that degree to make sure that you're embedding and bringing in what you've been practicing. And so Neptune is like psychic activation and the dissolving of the veil. It's like slowly that illusionary state. Now, I have Neptune conjunct my ascendant. And so I know that the way that I expressed myself before, especially in the foods that I ate, and that I would hold myself to an illusionary state. And let's own that. You know what I mean? We're convinced that certain foods are good when they're not. And I'll hold on to that because I like it. I want to eat that food that you're telling me not to eat. And I know it's bad, but I need to change that. And so that illusionary state is shifting. And we're now starting to get immediate reactions to things that we once didn't have. Yes, that could be because recipes have changed. Yes, that could be because ingredients have changed. Yes, it could be because of the number of chemicals in our environment. But as above, so below, you know, as within, so without. If we've got chemtrails in our sky, is that not a representation of the toxicity that exists within us? And as we clean up our own toxicity, so does Earth itself. For me, it's no more than that mirror. You know, and again, I'll change my mind on that if new information is presented, but we have to gravitate towards some sort of belief as we're exploring these concepts. This bit of hair, this is where I had like a hair analysis test. It's never grown back and it just looks a little bit wispy and boring. Here's see how my mind goes. So Neptune rules and governs the unseen. It's dreams, visions, psychic knowing, intuition, and spiritual downloads. It's a planet of disillusion, meaning it melts boundaries between this world and the other realms, where Saturn enforces structure and boundaries. So it's like these two, it's like as one is dissolving them, Saturn is rebuilding. So like imagine knock of the wall as another paver's coming behind it is kind of what I see, like in quick time. It's like that's my sound effects. I'm quite impressed. So it's a planet of boundaries. So they're both playing with these boundaries of dissolve this, integrate this, build this, deconstruct at the same time. So it's very messy, and it melts boundaries between this world and the other realms. So we're going to be starting to sense all of these things coming in that we hadn't been paying attention to before. Like I have a theory that I'm working with right now. I've got about 70,000 photos of clouds on my phone. And that came about after I started studying water and the consciousness of water and all of these types of things. And what I learned is that I've got this principle that if water is conscious and holds memory and clouds are water, then what does that make clouds? And sometimes you see clouds of a really weird shape, like squares, like cubes. I've seen dragon shapes when I was in Wales. It was crazy. I experienced all the weathers in one day when I went to Wales, and there was just dragons everywhere. And I know for some of you may not resonate with that, but I have a guide who's a dragon, and I was never, ever into dragons at all. Like it was a very fantasy, Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing for me. That was the meaning that I personally applied to it. Doesn't mean it means that. And when I was getting Reiki activated, she was like, right, now I'm going to invite you to welcome in your guides. So I'm like, yeah, come in guides. And all of a sudden, I totally thought it was going to be a little old lady knitting some knitting needles in the corner, having a cup of tea with me and sharing all this divine wisdom. It wasn't. This dragon, this purple dragon, swooped in, picked me up, flew me up to the top of a mountain where there was like a guide there. And he said nothing. Not one thing did he speak to me about. He just stood there, bowed to me and looked at me. And it took me a couple of meditations to really work out what he was trying to show me. But he said, my job is to listen and hold space. Because it's in the listening and holding space that I would feel and understand his messages. And he comes through in my Reiki sessions. I have the dragon come through in the Reiki session. And the most bizarre thing is that, like I said to you earlier on, my pet showed me away. My cat, I practiced Reiki after I just trained. My cat was laying on my chest and I put both hands on the side and I called in and I did all the Reiki activations and I was just working with her and she's purring very loudly. And then all of a sudden I go, and now I call in my dragon. And all in my head, you're not saying anything out loud. It's all in your mind space. And I go, now I call in my dragon to cleanse and purify the space with its sacred fire. And as I said, I call in my dragon. I kid you not, my cat hit the wall and ran out the room. But I didn't say anything. And so what was my cat sensing? It was such a beautiful moment that I still have no idea what happened there. And it could have been anything. There could have been a sound in the background. I'll take you on that. Absolutely. But what if it was something else? Because we know that cats see between realms. There's all these sort of old sacred wild tales around black cats and cats in general and how they see different states and colour spectrums and the UV light. And so what was she seeing? What did she sense? Because the second I called in that dragon, I kid you not, the second, out. You know, and so we are starting to sense these things. And I think we've got keepers and soul contracts with animals, places, things that show us these at certain sacred points as astrological things come within. Neptune also rules music. And a lot of my things have been coming through in music, memory, emotion, soul longing, divine inspiration, and altered states of consciousness. And so isn't that fascinating that as Neptune comes in and all those themes are happening, and then Saturn goes, yeah, but now we build this. Neptune isn't logical. It feels, it imprints, it drifts, it whispers through the fabric of reality. It's like subtleties in there, yeah? And then, so Saturn, let's have a look at then how Saturn will send signs. Saturn can send you signs for your dreams, your inner visions, sudden songs, deja vu, flickers of memories that don't feel like yours. Like you'll just see a flash of things, like maybe like a past life regression where you know it has, like it's a remembering, but it's not yours in this lifetime. Does that make sense? And even now when we call it past life regressions, I'm more leaning towards concurrent lives, that they're playing out the same thing, everything everywhere all at once. It's all happening in one space. And so through music, taste, smell, colour, sensations, all those beautiful things, we often bypass logic to speak directly. We'll bypass logic to speak directly to the soul field in a way that only you will know. She associates that song with this memory. You know what I mean? Unique. You're such a unique, beautiful individual. I just wish everybody would own that and incorporate that more. You know, you are hearing and sensing these things. So you might hear a line in a song, and sometimes it's over and over again. And that for me started playing out in 2022. Met my partner in 2021. We were thinking about moving in together in 2022, but it was a bit too soon. I had my own place. He had his own place, which is where I am right now. And then probably March 2022, I started getting random songs coming into my head, and I was like, I know I've not listened to that song. But you know that song, talk about moving to a town that's right for me. Do, 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 do. Anyway, that song came into my head over and over and over again, and it was every time something would go wrong in my bungalow. So the handle on the cupboard would break, my windows blew, and I was getting black mold in the property. My cooker wouldn't. I had a gas cooker, couldn't light anymore. The windows were breaking, the door handle, I couldn't get out my back door, I was locked in, the fence panels were flying away. Everything that could go wrong with this property was going wrong. And that song kept coming into my head every time I thought that. Talk about moving to a town that's right for me. And then lo and behold, I go, no. I mean, could you imagine if we needed to like move out, or I'm being called to like move to a different town? And me and my partner laughed. Like we just laughed about it. We didn't think anything serious. We thought we were very logical at that point in time. And we just laughed and ignored it. Well, lo and behold, fast forward a couple of months, and March 2023, I'm evicted. And it wasn't until I mean, it didn't matter. Chaos, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Sit and cry, sit in your dirty diaper? I got on with it. We cracked on. We decided, nope. At first, I was going to get a different property, and I was like, no, let's just move into your place. You've got that there already. It's like, why not use that? Which seemed like it should have been a logical solution at first, but it really wasn't. And so then we moved here, and it wasn't until my other half went to work one day that I was like, wow, I'm in a whole new town. I don't know anyone here. I'm going to go to a local crystal shop. So I drove to Malden, and that's where I met my mate Jules. And we got talking. It was like this instant magnetic connection where we're just talking and excited about all the things that we talk about. And then she was like, well, we're looking for a member of staff on a Monday. Do you want to work on Monday? And I was like, yeah, lovely. And that grew into Mondays and Saturdays, and that grew into Monday, Tuesdays and Saturdays, and everything that's come along after that's evolved. But if I hadn't have been evicted at this space, this bad, so-perceived bad event hadn't have happened over here, I wouldn't be over here right now. You know what I mean? And so there's divine unfoldment of things. Sometimes we need to relinquish control to allow that to unfold. But the so funny was, now looking back, I'm going, I was absolutely receiving messages, and this was definitely Neptune. But you might hear lines in songs that were written, feel like were just written, but are so poignant from what I'm going through right now. And it was just the song that I needed. I mean, even yesterday when me and Jules were playing backwards and forwards, the voice notes, she was like, that's so brilliant. That's such a wonderful confirmation. And then as I came off, we have a lot of people going, oh God, I might sound crazy. We'd left the radio on after getting home from work, and I hadn't been paying attention to it, but it was that All Saints song, Never Ever. And as I pressed send, I literally, the line of the song that she was singing was, I'm not crazy. And like me and my other half looked at each other and just wet ourselves laughing, because he went, I wondered if you'd clock that. Because it's no longer about feeling crazy, right? That this is the divine time and everything. Could have been coincidence, but I don't believe in those. I purely believe in synchronicity. But I also believe this is a language being coming through, and these planets have different ways of communicating to us in ways that only we understand. And so you could also have things like sense. It may transport you somewhere that you've never physically been. You could get tastes, or you just know something and then it happens. You know what I mean? Absolutely crazy. And so I'm driving to work literally a month ago now, driving to work, merry on the road, and there's a motorbike in front of me, and he's got on his rucksack Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles attached to him, and it's a blue one. I have not a Scooby about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't know the name, who they are, anything about them really. I might have watched it as a kid, but nothing I remember. But I do know that my other half loves Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I think to myself in that moment, I'd have to message Terry when I get to work and ask him what the Blue Ninja was. And instantly I think it was like Donatello. Just it's the first word that comes into my head. I don't know if that's even true. I can't remember what he said now. And then all of a sudden, me in a television shows me a image, and it's not like it takes over your vision. I can still see the road. I see the inner image of a rat carrying a pizza slice down a set of stairs. And I think, oh, that's interesting. Just what do I do with that? What do I do with that? I'm driving along to work. A rat with pizza? Good for you, psychic intuition. And then I get to work, and so we've got the thing so far, right? We've got my partner messaging him pizza and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? So I get to work and I arrive to a text message from my partner that says, the boss is buying us pizza today. Don't worry about me. I'm going to fast afterwards. I couldn't have known that he'd messaged me, that he'd sent me that message as I was seeing that stuff. And so you're going to get all these little subtleties. Pay attention to them. Keep a journal, a dream diary, keep a note of all of these things that happen. I need to do that more, but I don't. For me, they just come through as examples to share with you of the little the coincidences that turned into synchronicities, that turned into me accepting the fact that there's definitely something psychic, if we can call it that, unfolding from within me that wasn't there before, or I wouldn't know how to use it before. So this week was sorry, I made a note of all the bullet points, examples of psychic things I share with you there, but I've done them. So I've told you about Luna 5 times. She was on my bed. I mean, I took that to being that I was seeing her with my energetic psychic eyes, not physical ones, that maybe she was astral projecting. Smelling things that weren't there. Like I got I was eating something. I think it was like a sweet or a chocolate or something, which is really bad because I'm trying to break sugar. But I'm slowly weaning myself off of it. And I could taste noodles, like Chinese noodles. And then the next day, me and my other half, he was like, well, you tasted noodles yesterday. It might mean that you were sent to it coming. Do you want to get a Chinese? Like we need an excuse. And so I don't know if that came in. Maybe it just was a forewarning, or did we do it because we knew that I had? So did I sense the Chinese coming, or did we create the Chinese coming because I tasted it? Do you know what I mean? These are all the paradigms and perplexing information that I run around in my brain of mine. So these things are subtle. They're subtle but profound. And it's like my entire psychic field is now open, and I'm very triggered by other people. My scent allergies got worse. I'm very aware of things that are good, bad, right, wrong for me. And I've gone through the example of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. So when Neptune is active, then even childhood memories or cartoons can resurface as coded messages. Not because the actual thing was a coded message, because there's something there. Remember, I had the pizza, so I had the thought to message my partner. So we've got my partner Terry. I can't get this here. So our partner Terry. So much easier to do this, right? My partner Terry. Messaging him pizza when I get to work. Those are all the things that were exactly in that message that came out afterwards. So if I'd had really thought about it, I'd have been able to connect the dots, but I didn't really think about it at the time. It was just the guy on a motorbike at the time. So nothing is random. It is in Neptunian energy. Nothing is random in Neptunian energy at all. If it arrives, it's a breadcrumb. Follow the trail of it. And so we now know why that's happening now. We are in a heightened Neptune window. And this is going to test it. It's piercing the veil. And then we're just going to peel it back over time. And I think it's going to pierce the veil for us to see a new potential. And then we're going to peek back behind the curtain and go, right, now I see that new potential. Almost like a brochure I'm seeing, like a holiday. You're going, yeah, I really want to go here. This holiday looks the nuts. And then you withdraw from that idea and you go, right, well, I need to do this. I need to save. I need to do these following things in order to make that a reality. This is what I see this next year. We're in a net 9 year. And I had the most beautiful invite yesterday to come along to an event that's taking place in Malden. And I'm looking at the nines there, the net 9 year. It's on the 2-7 of the 9, not 225, 999. What a beautiful synchronicity. And I've got nines all over my birth chart. Like I'm a 9. I'm all in the 9 month on the 18 day, which is a net 9, and the 9-9. My brother's on the 9th, my sister's on the 9th. Nines everywhere. And so pay attention to the patterns that are unfolding here. For me, I was like, oh my God, 999 day. Yes, that's going to give me the opportunity to practice something that I've been fearful of, to embrace this part of me that's unfolding. And so this heightened Neptune window is piercing through and showing you what's possible. And then just after this event on the 999, the next month, everything starts moving from retrograde and going into reflection, and then Pluto goes forward to empower you some more. So it's just a real beautiful dance that we've got moving for over the next couple of months. The veil between worlds is now paper thin, and we are lighting it up with this Aries match, you know. The collective is starting to see, hear, and sense beyond the five senses. And so when you hear these governments making these wild statements, you're like, that is just ridiculous. Like, it's getting crazier and crazier because people are still asleep and they need the crazier and crazier to pierce it and wake them up from their slumber. And for me, when I went through that in 2022, I was 2021, I beg your pardon. I felt like I had a glass dome around my head. And I was very much along the lines of in a lullaby, a zombie lullaby, you know? And then all of a sudden, someone said something that triggered it, and that just, you know, that scene from The Labyrinth of David Bowie when she goes into the ballroom dance and she's inside a glass bubble, and then she realizes what this is, it's an illusion, and the glass bubble smashes. That's exactly what happened for me. It was like Bojo just came out one day and went blah, 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 blah. And I went, whoa, you were lying. Huh. And there was pain with that, and I went down rabbit holes, and I wanted to like gravitate to some sort of solid ground because I felt like I was crumbling in that moment. And on the other side of it, it was a beautiful journey, but it took me into the underworld of things that I had to discover to birth who I'm now becoming. So it's all divine, it's all beautiful. It doesn't make it any less painful in the moment. So we've really got to embrace and embody those and acknowledge that side of it. People are suddenly knowing things before they happen, dreaming about someone, then receiving a message from them, hearing a song, or realizing it's a sign. It's just, and it's not a woo-woo thing. Oh my God, it's a sign. Oh my God, it's a sign. It's totally like Thor 111. It's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. There are validating signs and there are AI programmed algorithm signs that we need to learn to differentiate between. And so this is going to be part of the great dissolving. Neptune is saying reality is fluid. Trust your inner eye. So if this is happening to you, don't panic. You're not going crazy. I will hold space. This community is going to hold space for you to feel your way through these things and sense them in a sense of truth to understand yourself. It just means that your system is more open than usual right now. Be kind to your nervous system. Make sure you stay hydrated, have really good water. Cut the tap water, bless your water, send loving vibes to your water, let it fill you up and hydrate you. Ground yourself, get your bare feet on the grass, get yourself exposed to that natural daylight that's going to boost your vitamin D in the morning. No glasses on your eyes. First 15 minutes of sunlight, just get outside. If you're going to choose to look directly at the sun, only the first 15 minutes of a day after sunrise and the last 45 minutes of sunlight in the evening. Other than that, just the light itself in your environment will flood in. Don't do it through a window. Most of these windows have got a UV coating on them, so you're not getting the actual light codes that are coming from the sunlight. So glasses off, windows down. If you can't get outside, open the window so you're looking directly at the light that's outside, and just spend 10, 15, 20 minutes in that space, just looking and grounding your energy field in, because that does more for your brain than you realize. And that's going to be over on Patreon. Ground yourself. And if you feel overstimulated, get into water, listen to music, breathe thought in, work with salt, work with crystals, ground yourself. Selenite's wonderful. Place it on your head. Do anything crazy. I mean, sometimes my partner walks in, I've got stuff stuck to my forehead. You know what I mean? Just because I want to like work with that space. Be crazy. You know what I mean? I don't mean crazy as like the clinical stuff that came about in the 1900s to make, you know, legitimate people sound like they weren't legitimate. That's propaganda. I'm talking about it's just like, oh my God, that's wild. You know, it's out there. It's something I never thought would be possible, and now it's coming into my field. You're not meant to interpret everything right now. Just allow it. Keep a note, keep a journal, and then go back to it and go, oh my God, I wrote that down. Look at that now playing out, and start connecting the dots. Yeah. We're just moving from point A to point B. That's all we're doing right now. Don't let it overwhelm you. And if there are just relationships dissolving, just know that something is making space for something to come in that's better for you. So, I mean, I wrote down some questions. to ask, I mean, have you ever seen things at the corner of your eye that weren't there? Have you been dreaming vivid dreams or hearing random songs that you know are messages? Talk to me, share your experiences, validate somebody, pop it in the comments below, subscribe to this channel. Let's get a community going where we share these things, not because someone's telling you this is right and I've got the, channeling this group of people and these beings. They may be legitimate, they also may not. Only you know what feels right for you. Have your senses felt heightened, like you're picking up more than just what's physically there? For me, that is definitely, it's like when I look up at the sky, I can kind of see it's something. It's not a cloud, it's not a body of water, it's a structure of something, like it's coming through, like a mirage. I don't know what word to use. I don't think we have the word for a lot of things that are unfolding. So now we've covered that Neptune energy. Now let's explore Saturn, because Saturn is about truth and boundaries and consequences. And so it's really appropriate that we just talk about what the truth and fiction is and how we navigate and feel our way through that. And so what does Saturn rules truth, boundaries and consequences? He governs structures, boundaries, limitations and mastery through time. And this is, I'm ruled by Saturn. I'm a Capricorn rising. And so Saturn is prominent. I believe Saturn's in my 11th house, 12th house. I think he's on my 11th, 12th house cusp, but then Uranus is on my 10th, 11th cusp. But they're like gatekeepers for me to bridge through my career, into my networks, into the underworld. And I pull out into that space. It's karmic law, not the fluffy stuff, but the real energetic cause and effect. It's the teacher who comes with tests, discipline, and integrity checks. Emotionally, Saturn governs emotional maturity, resilience, and self-responsibility. And it's going to ask, are you honoring your soul's truth or still clinging on to the illusion? And that's this dance between Saturn and Uranus. Saturn's role right now, Saturn is here to cut the cords, especially ones based on fantasy, illusion, or avoidance. You're going to come snip, 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 snip. I see like a hot air balloon cutting these sandbags to rise higher. So where Neptune whispers, Saturn draws a line in the sand. It's something in your life is out of alignment. Saturn is going to show you through discomfort, obstacles, or loss. This is the karmic things. And I don't mean karmic in like you attract what you do. It's nothing like that. We do cause and effect, and it can be like that. But karma for me is about rebalance. Yeah, so you expressed in one way and now you need to express the other to bring it back into harmony. It's just a harmonization of something, and your soul may have been out of balance in a lifetime, and so this is a life where you're rebalancing it. And so there's a lot of things that come through in that space. But if something in your life is out of alignment, like I say, Saturn shows you through discomfort, obstacles, or loss. You may feel pushed to grow up spiritually, emotionally, or relationally. So the way that you relate to others. I have had a lot of people come into my field recently saying, my friends don't like me, or I'm, no longer resonate with it. I'm like, it's because it's collapsing it down. They served one purpose. And when you focus on what lights you up and what you love and what you want to embody, it is going to bring in that tribe that like it. If you love pottery, go to a pottery class. You're going to make friends that love pottery too. There's nothing more. People go, how do I meet a partner? Do what you love. Go to clubs and groups and associations to try things that you really enjoy, and you may meet someone there that also has that shared love. When you're in your joy in your moment, that's when you attract that same energy. We attract the medicine for that. But Saturn doesn't punish. He reveals the cost of continuing to ignore what you already know. Your gut's telling you something, and if you don't follow it, eventually you're going to shut it down. Exactly what I was referring to with my eviction thing. I was getting all of those signals coming in, and I've been more in tune with my body. I might have acted on it, but I wasn't, and I didn't. And the eviction came in. You know what I mean? I wasn't supposed to be there anymore. And the beauty of it was it's where I studied angelic Reiki, and my street name was Angel Close. I lived at number 8, and Saturn is the number 8. And so for me, that whole time was about karmic relationing. It was all about how I was connecting with the divine, the outside, with me, with people that I was in relationship with. It was such a beautiful journey from when I moved in to when I left. The losses as well. I've got a lot of love for the people that brought me pain, because they showed me who I'm no longer being. I've got a lot of love for old friends that I don't see anymore, because they showed me what I'm not anymore. They show me where I was, they show me where I'm coming now, and I've got that comparative point through their interactions with me. And there may be things that come back into my life with experiences with those individuals, and they may not. But I'm grateful for the time that I had, because even the pain taught me a lesson. But if you find yourself ignoring the signs, like Neptune can give you the dream, but Saturn asks what you're going to do with it. If you'll keep bypassing your intuition, Saturn won't stay silent. And so it's going to bring the consequences of these things so that we can realign karmically. It could bring fatigue, burnout, emotional shutdown, conflicts and endings. For me, I feel energized. I feel so energized. I feel so cool to come live today. Even if nobody's on and joining me live, it's a video that I can pop out. I can turn into some shorts. I can filter it down. I can make it smaller content and just start sharing more of myself with you. And knowing that those of you that resonate will come. So yeah, all of this Saturn energy is not punishment. It's Saturn's way of saying, wake up, realign, take responsibility. Yeah. This comfort is a gift if you're willing to listen. And then we take Saturn and Neptune energy. It's basically spiritual discipline. Yeah, spiritual discipline. Start developing it every day, a spiritual discipline. Even if it's just investing in a wonderful healing session with me, or coming along to Patreon, we do some live energy healing sessions. You just take some time out of your day. I can't get used to this back to forward way. Neptune. And that's a Neptune bar. Do you see it piercing? I don't know where the microphone is on this. I'm sorry if that's a bit too loud. Noise warning. You know? Like, it's almost like it pierces through it. Pierces through the illusion so you can find yourself in truth. And even now, my head just feels... clear the waters. So it's a very rare and powerful combination. I don't remember the last time they were together, conjunct. I think it was the 1800s maybe, but conjunct to 0 degrees of Aries. And a lot of astrologers have been trying to go back further. And I believe Heather Ensworth's a good person to check out for that. But Neptune opens the channel. Saturn teaches you how to stabilize the gift. So you're being asked, can you trust your intuition and ground it into your daily life? Yeah. Can you set energetic boundaries while still being psychic? Can you hold faith and face reality at the same time? These are all the things. I mean, because let's face it, some of us keep our most private things inside of us. And if all of a sudden our thoughts are exposed, how do we have that private contemplation space to run thoughts and ideas around, to think something, backtrack and go, no, it doesn't feel right, and make the mistakes of thought without being held accountable to it? Like, a lot of people are talking about thought crime and things like that. You can think what you want to think. It's if you act on it. It's how you act on your thoughts that I'm more interested in. People should be left alone to do what they want as long as they cause no harm. And that's why I need to go on to Patreon. And so this isn't about being spiritual. It's about being spiritually responsible. And so I've definitely felt this week Saturn showing up as emotional edges. I felt emotionally on edge. I've sensed other people's emotional edge. Like, I'm being shown where I've outgrown a certain version of myself that was being reborn. Have you noticed where you no longer are able to tolerate certain people, patterns, or distractions, like you just can't do it? I just didn't want to, like, the celebrity culture was something that died very quickly for me. I was like, I don't want to look at famous people who are arrogant, stuck up, and, like, you know, one eyeball crap. Sorry for the language. I want to watch ordinary, everyday people. So the shift way we did that was started watching people on X Factor audition, singing, dancing, just in their joy, doing what they love. And that lifted me up. Rather than watching celebrities trying to, like, you know, brain culture you. No, thank you. Not for me. So Saturn's going to show you where you're wasting your time on that note, or giving your power away and then give you a nudge to do something about it. Yeah. It's going to go, hey, there's a warning here. I'm coming in loud and clear. Please do something about this for me to make this boundary firmer. Keep doing this. Like that. Firmer. And so that way, the firmity that comes from that is Saturn anchoring in Neptunian gifts. So without Saturn, Neptune just makes us dreamy and disconnected. But because Saturn's there, your visions can become your calling, and your intuition becomes a compass. It can definitely guide you and structure you and teach you right from wrong. So the test is now, you're building something from your spiritual gifts, or you just floating in them. It's definitely about the spiritual discipline coming in. So each... Ignore that. I want some water. I need to pause because my mind's all over the place. I feel like I've got to think, waiting to burst into my scene. But now what I want to touch upon is what I'm doing with my clients at the moment. And so I've developed a new astrology healing protocol that I've worked with. And it was actually after I was being trained in crystal healing. And the practitioner that was guiding and teaching, Rachel Edgley, I can't shout out enough to her. She said, I'm going to do something very different with you, Alicia. I want you to start communicating with the planets, and I just want you to trust that they're going to communicate and show you something. And it was the most beautiful experience that if she had not have opened that up, and look, goosebumps, goosey bumps, goosey bumps. If she had not have opened up that space, I would never have tried it. Well, you can't never say never, but it was a beautiful moment and divine synchronicity. And so the person that I was working on, Mercury came through for me, and Mercury showed me, and it's not like Mercury grew a mouth and walked into my field and went, hey, I want to work with you. I just knew it was Mercury, and I just knew the information was coming from that, and it was guiding me to show. And what I had was the person laying on the bed. So the person was laying on the bed, like this is their head. And what I did was I was aware that I had to take the energy from over here and bypass the head to go into the knowledge had to come out the field, bypass the head so it didn't freeze and stay in this space, and then go into the heart so it could come out the feet. And so the person was just pausing and freezing at their head space. And Mercury was showing me she's not balancing me out. Help me to access her heart so I can bring it into the neurons of her heart. And that was the first time that I started working with the planets in that way. And so what I now have developed for my clients is that I've realized each planetary body has a higher and lower octave like a sound. And I look at their chart to establish what expression is occurring for a client at the moment. And I raise that octave or a sound bar that's attuned to the planets. And so here are the higher and lower octaves of Saturn and Neptune, just to give you some really good information that you may not have known. Saturn is the harmonic of structure, time, and integrity. So it's high octave. This is the high octave of Saturn. It resonates as inner authority, a deep tone of grounded self-trust and responsibility. It builds sacred structure, creates containers for sole purpose to manifest in physical form. It harmonizes discipline and devotion, the frequency of commitment with spiritual depth. It clears karmic weight, stabilizes lessons into wisdom through embodiment, and it vibrates boundaries with grace. No becomes a tuning fork for energetic integrity. And its lowest octave, it compresses energy into rigidity. Heaviness, guilt, fear, or failure may be sensed. It can suppress emotion, so the tone of emotional frost, self-denial, or shame. Time anxiety, so panic around age, deadlines, or running out of time. Ironic, I had a guy come in yesterday. That's so funny. I had a guy come into the shop yesterday that was wearing a baseball cap, and it had out of time from Back to the Future. And it was Saturn was at 29 degrees, out of time. And he tipped his hat. I remember that because Jules said how much she appreciated the fact that he bowed his hat. And then obviously I've had the intuition to come on here and start talking about you're running out of time. Time anxiety. Oh, 100%. Look at that for synchronicity. Authoritarian control, so obeying false systems or internalized oppression. And I'm going to talk a lot about that on Patreon, about how we're now rising into a state of sovereignty from that. It can bring in energetic fatigue, heavy, like droning tone when carrying weight that's not yours. And so then what I do with that is I will help shift that by using the Saturn bar or a blend of other energetics that's personalized to your astrology field. And it's something I'm going to start teaching people. So we've got more and more practitioners that are out there that can do this beautiful healing modality. And so Neptune, then let's talk about the higher and lower octaves of Neptune. It's the harmonic of mysticism, unity, and the dream field. So at its higher octave, Neptune resonates as divine inspiration, musical, poetic, etheric tones that uplift and expand. It dissolves ego gently into soul awareness, compassion, and unity consciousness, harmonizes with the quantum field of telepathy, psychic openness, and synchronicity, and it activates imagination, creating visions that serve the collective, transcending illusion to reveal the truth through subtle symbolic vibration. And it's in water. Oh, Neptune water. And then this lower octave, it distorts perception, can bring in fog, confusion, self-deception, or fantasy addiction. It can be psychic overwhelm, so no filter between self and collective emotion. I know that's something that I definitely had experienced initially. False light frequency, so spiritual bypassing or illusion masked as enlightenment. You know, people go, oh, it's just love and light. It's not just love and light. It can be love and light. We've got to go through that darkness first. We don't just walk around it. Energetic leakage, so it could be like porous boundaries, empathetic burnout, dream state disassociation. And so there's just 2 of the planets that I work with. And what I do is by playing these tuning forks, these beautiful tuning forks, I help to raise the frequency within the field of that person. And then my notes tell me still about psychic experience, but I've gone through all of that and the synchronicities that confirmed it. And then some of the collective themes right now, just to finish off this wonderful live session that I've been going on for 1 hour and 45 minutes. That is a wonder bar. And then, so I'm going to invite you to step into your own experience. Are people showing you who they really are? When someone shows you who they are, believe it. Have any relationships or illusions fallen away lately? Are you receiving signs but questioning them? Are you feeling emotionally exposed, raw, or rebirthed? Do you need to believe what you saw, even if it hurt? Yeah, do you need to believe what you saw, even if it hurt? Integration and healing moment. To anchor the experience and ground in the energy, you can take 30 seconds to center yourself and just notice what you've been holding on to in your energy field. What's been tight? Have you been holding your gut? Have you been like tense in the shoulders? Yeah. Have there a lot of tension headaches? Holding your teeth? Have you holding your words back? Pay attention to where all that tension is in the body and just breathe it in back to yourself. Come on to come back to your body. And then just breathe it in, and you'll notice that some of the muscles in your stomach might just let go then. Keep doing it until you are absolutely balanced. Even then, I just let that go. Call your energy home from any person, place, or pattern that's no longer in alignment after what you've seen. Don't be afraid to let it go. End that relationship with the people, places, and things that don't align with what you're doing. Don't be afraid to walk away from jobs, people, places, things, foods, diets, addictions, and connections that do not make you just live your joy on a day-to-day basis. And so if you're interested in the energy of the healing sessions, like I say, last cheeky call, subscribe, all of that beautiful stuff. Hit the subscribe button, the bell notification, all those wonderful things. Check out my TikTok, my Facebook, my Instagram. Contact me over there if you want to arrange a session that we can either do it digitally or in person if you're close to Essex or want to travel to come and see me. I've got a lady coming up from Hove to book an appointment with me. And so you just drop me a message and we'll get you booked in. And it's only reserved after payment because of the fact that I'm self-employed and I want to make sure that I'm setting a boundary around my time. I honor my time and I expect you guys to do that too. And if you want to understand your own chart, I'm offering limited astrology readings. They take me about 4 to 5 hours to do the type of work that I'm doing for the in-depth reports. And then for a half an hour verbal reading, I can do either for you. So you tell me what you need and I'll be able to help you tailor it. Everything I do is tailored to you. It's not a specific service that I offer. All right. And so my next live is going to be talking about some of the North Node energy we've got coming in. Some of the North Node is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I'm also going to be sharing some information about galactic astrology. I am on Julia Balazzi's galactic astrology course because it just resonated for me so deeply. And so I want you guys to have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. It's bank holiday weekend over here in the UK. And I hope that you have enjoyed this video content. I will be editing it up and making it streamlined so it's not nearly 2 hours long on a video. And yeah, thank you so much for joining and watching along. You have a wonderful, wonderful day.